Caitlin Clark has suffered a mild bone bruise to her left ankle, and she suffered this injury.
Caitlin Clark is with the injured crew. She's over here with the injured crew.
The Caitlin Clark injury situation is officially a mess because not only is there not more clarity, there's more confusion.
They got themselves a real problem after, of course, we found out that Caitlin Clark suffered yet another injury.
Have you noticed that Caitlin Clark is not playing since July 15th?
Caitlin Clark's season, what began with so much hope, has collapsed into setbacks, secrecy, and frustration.
Caitlin Clark has suffered a mild bone bruise to her left ankle, and she suffered this injury on August 7th. Fans have been highly anticipating Caitlin Clark's return to the court. Will she come back?
The Indiana Fever star may have just faced her toughest blow yet.
Have you noticed that Caitlin Clark is not playing since July 15th? Well, she was rehabbing her groin, which was hurt while rehabbing her groin, and now she suffered an ankle injury while rehabbing the groin.
Clark has been working nonstop with the Indiana Fever training staff, dealing with her knee, groin, and now ankle issues. They've tried everything from treatments to shots, but every time she gets close to returning, another setback appears. This constant cycle has left both Clark and the fans exhausted, wondering if she'll ever get back on the floor this season.
He is out there with the Indiana Fever training staff. He's working on the knee, working on the groin, working on the ankle, trying to figure out, come on, Caitlin, come on, you can do it. Come back. Tortal, anyone? Anything? Inflammatories? We got you. Shots? We're in. Future health? We're out.
After suffering the bone bruise in her left ankle, the Fever spokesperson revealed there was no clear timeline for her return. The official stance remained that Clark would be given as much time as needed to recover fully. While this sounded reassuring, many fans took it as another sign that the team wasn't being honest about how serious her injury really was.
She said, sources confirmed to me that Caitlin Clark suffered a very mild bone bruise in her left ankle on August 7th. Scott Agnes was the first to report this. Source also stresses that this tweaked ankle does not affect her return timeline. Sans ankle injury, she would still be out rehabbing her groin.
The biggest issue for fans has been the secrecy around her injuries. If Caitlin Clark rolled her ankle, that information should have been released immediately. Supporters who buy tickets want transparency, and the 2-week silence before revealing the setback only created mistrust and fueled speculation.
The biggest shift that I've felt is the thought process and optimism of Clark being back on the floor versus, well, let's wait and, I don't know. Maybe, hope so. That's a shift in tone, delivery, messaging, all these things, tea leaf reading, however you want to put it. And then again, there is also, what was publicly shared by reporters now.
The timeline of injuries has also been strange. Clark was listed as questionable on July 15th, but by late August, reports of an August 7th ankle injury suddenly surfaced. The late release felt less like an update and more like a distraction, and it left fans asking why the truth wasn't shared from the start.
She was day to day. She got injured. I don't know the exact date, but let's just say she got injured July the 14th. It was in and around that date. On July the 15th, she was listed as questionable. It's the 20th of August, and now we've got a random injury being reported from 2 weeks ago. Like, what is going on?
The Fever's handling of this entire situation has been called unprofessional. They have one of the most marketable stars in the league, yet their lack of clarity about her status has fans calling it a joke. The conspiracy theories about why the August 7th report was delayed only grew stronger because of the inconsistent communication.
The Indiana Fever's got $1 billion entity on their team. $1 billion damn dollars. And they're a bunch of clowns, a bunch of bozos. You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional. The way this has been handled, it's a joke. It's a joke. Look, they can't say anything about conspiracy theories. You're complicit in creating them because you won't be open and you won't be honest.
When the news finally broke that Clark's ankle had been hurt weeks earlier, it shocked everyone. Why would the team hide such a critical update? For fans, it felt like they were being kept in the dark. and now many believe this setback has completely altered her recovery timeline.
You've got people buying future tickets, I'm sure, paying up, probably paying above face value. They've done it all year long, have paid above face value for tickets. And we find out today that Caitlin Clark had another injury nearly 2 weeks ago, 13 days ago, in fact. I saw this and I was floored.
The Fever eventually confirmed the bone bruise happened on August 7th, but the late reveal only fueled anger and confusion. Fans directly linked her absence to the team's struggles, and many began questioning the organization's professionalism. The secrecy made it harder to believe in the updates being shared, leaving supporters with nothing but doubt.
Indiana Fever reporters, beat writers, pawns, whatever you want to call them, they are suddenly reporting an August 7th ankle injury. Interesting, because Caitlin Clark is the most covered player the WNBA has ever seen. So if she had an injury or tweak something or hurt something almost 2 weeks ago, you probably think we would have heard about it by now, right? Right.
Caitlin Clark has been absent since July 15th, and her groin injury was already a major concern. But during her recovery process, she ended up suffering another blow and ankle injury that left fans even more frustrated.
Have you noticed that Caitlin Clark is not playing since July 15th? Well, she was rehabbing her groin, which was hurt while rehabbing her groin, and now she suffered an ankle injury while rehabbing the groin.
Coach Stephanie White admitted they were hopeful she'd return before the regular season ended. Yet the silence and uncertainty around her status made everything worse.
Indiana coach Stephanie White told reporters Sunday that she hopes Clark gets back before the end of the regular season. But the fact of the matter is, the coach is right.
The biggest news surrounding the Indiana Fever came when reports confirmed Clark had suffered a mild bone bruise in her left ankle. Strangely, this happened on August 7th, but fans only learned about it much later.
Caitlin Clark has suffered a mild bone bruise to her left ankle, and she suffered this injury on August 7th.
That delay in reporting created confusion and raised questions about whether her rehab process had been handled properly.
Now, this was news to a lot of fans because this was just reported a couple days ago. Fans have been highly anticipating Caitlin Clark's return to the court. Will she come back this season? When will she come back this season? And a lot of fans have been so confused by the reporting. Like, what is actually going on with Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark has been spotted standing with the injured group during practices instead of working with the main squad. For the fan base, that sight was heartbreaking because it symbolized how serious her ankle setback really was.
That is not ideal. That is not ideal. She's over at the side at practice with the injured players. And maybe we're looking too far into this. And to be honest, like, this is something a lot of people are like, oh, why are we having all these conspiracies? Man, it turns out she had an ankle injury that we didn't know about. Like, we have to take that into account.
It left many wondering why such an important detail had been kept from the public for nearly 2 weeks.
So we have to go and put on our Inspector Gadget hat, and we got to figure this out. We got to become a detective. We got to try to become detectives and decipher anything, because whatever about not hearing from the team, the fact that they've lied about an injury means what the hell is going on?
What makes the situation worse is that Coach Stephanie White kept saying no update when reporters asked about Clark. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, the news broke that she had rolled her ankle.
I don't know what this is all about, because apparently Caitlin Clark has now picked up an ankle injury. Like, what's going on? If you guys agree, obviously Stephanie White was like, no update on Caitlin Clark, and then randomly we hear that Caitlin Clark has like rolled her ankle.
Fans were stunned to learn she had already been dealing with the injury for weeks, and the delay made it look like the Fever were hiding the truth.
Suddenly, she has had an ankle injury for the last 2 weeks, and we've heard nothing. Like, by the way, 2 weeks ago, during the ankle injury, they were saying like, okay, yeah. During this time, it was, yeah, she's full court. She's gone back to full court sprinting.
The handling of Clark's injury has been labeled a PR disaster for the Fever. Instead of transparency, fans felt they were being misled with half-truths and late updates. A team's biggest star being sidelined while the story unfolds in secrecy gave the impression of complete incompetence from management.
That injury, the new injury, yet another injury. The Indiana Fever's got $1 billion entity on their team. $1 billion damn dollars. You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional. The way this has been handled, it's a joke.
Reports now suggest that Clark's season could be over because of this ankle issue. For a team that desperately needed her during the playoff push, the timing couldn't have been worse. What was expected to be a breakout year has instead become a season filled with injury setbacks and bitter disappointment for both the player and the franchise.
Hopped in the old DeLorean, set the date to August 7th, 2025, and injured her ankle. Oh man. But fortunately enough for us, 13 days later, after the Fever front office feels some heat from the dark side, asking questions about what's going on with Caitlin Clark's injury, how come we haven't seen?
Even when the Fever confirmed the ankle injury, they offered no timeline for her return. Instead, they simply stated she would be given as much time as needed. This vague response only fueled fan frustration because supporters are paying to see her play and deserve clarity on when she might realistically come back.
Should have been disclosed to the fan base. You've had a fan base that's been sitting back for, I would guess, at least 2 weeks, highly anticipating Caitlin Clark's return. I suspect the Indiana Fever completely understand that and know that.
The secrecy around Clark's ankle has shaken trust between the team and its fans. Learning weeks later that she had been injured during her recovery felt like a cover-up. Now people are left questioning not just her health, but the Fever's professionalism in handling their franchise star during such a crucial season.
Caitlin Clark is with the injured crew. She's over here with the injured crew. This is something a lot of people are like, oh, why are we having all these conspiracies? Man, it turns out she had an ankle injury that we didn't know about. Like, we have to take that into account. Let's be honest, fans just want to see Caitlin back on the floor at this stage. Like, at least she's in good spirits. That's the only thing, is she's in good spirits. And I think if Caitlin Clark was done for the season officially, she wouldn't be in good spirits. But this is the last real practice the Fever have for the year.
The Indiana Fever have lost multiple guards this season, including Sophie Cunningham, who is now out for the year. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, the roster looks thinner than ever, and the team is barely hanging on to a playoff spot. This loss of key players has only added pressure on the Fever, making Clark's absence even more damaging.
There has been a lot of talk about this Indiana Fever. Now keep in mind, they're trying to make the playoffs for the second year in a row, but they've got a ton of injuries. They are 6th in the WNBA. The Indiana Fever right now are ranked 6th, and that's without Caitlin Clark for the past over a month. That's with the fact that they've lost 4 guards, including Sophie Cunningham, who's out for the year.
During one practice, Caitlin Clark was on the sidelines when a coach accidentally stepped on her foot. The pain on her face was immediate, and she reacted sharply, lifting her injured ankle off the ground. For fans watching, this bizarre moment felt like yet another cruel twist in what has already been a disastrous season.
What happened here? So as you can see, Caitlin Clark's on the sideline and she was up cheering for her team. And you can see that one of the coaches steps we thought was on her foot. We can't see the lower half of this camera angle, but she steps on something.
The optimism that Clark would return soon has slowly shifted into uncertainty. Just when it seemed like she was getting closer to full strength, even a minor ankle tweak derailed everything. At this stage, every small setback feels massive, and the Fever are running out of time to make something out of their season.
And, some of these things you hear rumblings about, and you don't know exactly what's going on. But again, the biggest shift that I've felt is the thought process and optimism of Clark being back on the floor versus, well, let's wait and, I don't know, maybe, hope so. That's a shift in tone, delivery, messaging, all these things, tea leaf reading, however you want to put it.
Fans are growing increasingly frustrated with the secrecy around Clark's condition, especially when they see her sidelined during games. Watching her stuck with the injured crew has become a painful reminder of how long she has been absent. For many, the lack of transparency has turned this entire season into a nightmare.
Let's be honest, fans just want to see Caitlin back on the floor at this stage. Like, at least she's in good spirits. That's the only thing, is she's in good spirits. And I think if Caitlin Clark was done for the season officially, she wouldn't be in good spirits. But this is the last real practice the Fever have for the...
Things only got worse when reports confirmed that her own coach had stepped on her injured ankle. This bizarre accident was almost unbelievable, and it reinforced the feeling that this was a cursed year for Clark. Each attempt she makes to move forward seems to be followed by another freak setback.
Her coach stepped on her ankle. Nah, man, this season cursed. This season's cursed. Like, it's not on the coach. This is like when, was it Chris Finch blew out his patella for someone running into him on the sideline in the game? Like, this season is cursed. This season's cursed. Like, an injury actually being aggravated by a fucking coach stepping on it.
The handling of Clark's injury has fueled conspiracy theories among fans because every update seems to make the Fever look worse. A coach aggravating the star player's ankle injury only added to the idea that this season has been chaotic and poorly managed. It has become nearly impossible to dismiss the doubts surrounding the team's professionalism.
And they're a bunch of clowns, a bunch of bozos. You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional. The way this has been handled, it's a joke.
The video of Clark's coach stepping on her ankle spread quickly across social media, sparking outrage. Fans couldn't believe how something so careless could happen, especially with their franchise player already sidelined. For many, this incident was the final straw that made the Fever look like a complete mess.
And we find out today that Caitlin Clark had another injury nearly 2 weeks ago, 13 days ago, in fact. I saw this and I was floored. And I've tried to take a step back and not do the Indiana Fever is complacent and complicit and they're trying to hide something and blah 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 blah. All bets are off now.
Some fans now describe this as the season from hell for Caitlin Clark and the Fever. What was supposed to be her breakout year has turned into a string of injuries, bizarre accidents, and endless delays. Every new update feels like another crushing blow, leaving the team and its supporters without any answers.
What were the odds that the Indiana Fever would miss the playoffs prior to this season taking place? Just there's so much fishiness going on in this league, and you just sniff around a little bit, you can tell. What is the payout for somebody who bet, the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, with a new head coach, with all these new additions? What's the payout if they just, surprise, miss the playoff?
Wide shot of empty basketball court with lights dimming slowly. Clark sitting on the sideline in warm-ups, clapping for teammates but not playing. Close-up of Clark icing her ankle with a grim expression. Fans holding up "Get well soon Clark" signs, some looking emotional.
She is still not doing team practices, and so with every day that goes by, it gets less and less likely that we will see her back on the court.
And once the situation is to the point of odd with a superstar like Clark, questions are going to be asked. Did she suffer a setback?
It's just getting ridiculous. It's just getting ridiculous. Some of these injuries. And look, I don't think she's back this season. I don't think she comes back. I think she's done.
Knee, working on the groin, working on the ankle, trying to figure out, come on, Caitlin, come on, you can do it.
Coach standing with the team while Clark watches from the bench. Clark's story isn't over. Stay tuned for every update.